Hello, I'm Faith, and welcome to Faith's Take, where I talk about anything and everything that I find interesting. So today, March 22nd, we finally got a trailer for the new season of Mystery Science Theater 3000, which premieres on Netflix on April 14th. Why release the only trailer so close to the actual premiere date? I have no clue. That just sounds like poor marketing to me. But here it is, and in these 40 seconds, we get a very fast edit which shows Felicia Day and Patton Oswalt luring Jonah Ray onto their evil moon base, where they kidnap him and throw him into whatever this season's equivalent of the SOL is. What are my thoughts? Well, I have a couple of problems. I know, me, the one who complained about the Beauty and the Beast remake for 47 minutes, actually has a problem with something. But anyway, a couple of problems are with the show's visuals, and the other involves the trailer itself and how Netflix edited it together. Let's look at the actual show first. My first problem's the smallest, but it's still annoying. If Felicia Day is playing a Forrester, why on earth is she not dressed in lime green like both Forresters before her? A small gripe, I know, but it's still irritating. Okay, here's my biggest problem with the way the show looks. The very first shot harkens back to the cheap look of the original seasons of the show. I was immediately into it, thinking, alright, we're going for nostalgia here, that makes sense. However, the rest of the trailer happens, and while, yes, the sets do look to be on the cheaper side, they don't even look as good as the original. First off, they look super small. While the original sets were small too, the cinematography here has these verging on claustrophobic. But this shot in Moonbase 13 looks fine, so hopefully the small-looking shots aren't the norm. While I don't really care much about the Moonbase's design, and I'm sure the heart-shaped barred window will become quote-unquote iconic in time, the SOL, or wherever our riffers are going to live, looks flipping awful. Now this may be only one of a few sets we'll get to see Jonah and the bots on, and that's fine. However, this is clearly the bridge, most likely the most important and most viewed set on the show, and it's the most generic-looking set I've seen in quite a while. I'm sorry, I know, I'm not saying that they had to make it look even remotely like the first 10 season sets, but at least those sets had personality. It was covered in old toys and junk that were glued to the walls and spray-painted, and it was both unique and quirky. This looks like you just took a few giant Lego pieces and stuck them to a wall, and anybody could have come up with that. I'm pretty sure that you could afford set designers with that $6.5 million. Obviously, though, none of this changes my actual expectations for the show. None of these changes have anything to do with the writing or the comedy. But that's where we come to the biggest problem with the trailer itself. I don't know who over at Netflix edited this thing. Maybe it was someone who's actually editing the show, maybe it's someone at Netflix who edits a lot of the trailers that they show. Either way, in this 40-second trailer, we get a super brief explanation of how Jonah got into this wacky situation.
You speak to I, King of Forrester, commander of the Moon 13 Research Station. I am reopening my family's most legendary experiment, Mystery Science Theater 3000.
But there is not a single riff in this entire trailer. We get 5 quick shots in the theater, but not a single line of dialogue in any of it. While yes, the host segments are important, I'm pretty sure that we all know that the riffs are what we want to see the most, and that's the vast majority of the show anyway. Who would advertise a show with barely showing any of the most important and prevalent parts of it? That's like if I owned a restaurant that sold the most delicious burgers. They're so good that 90% of what I sell are those burgers. So I finally decide to make a commercial for my restaurant, and the only thing I show in the commercial are the French fries. That doesn't make any sense now, does it? And that's my point. And if the argument here is, well, they wanted to sum up the premise for people that don't know anything about the show yet. Well, if they're worried about confusing people, you would only confuse them more. The audience won't know what the silhouette shots mean anyway, and when they finally tune in, the shots that made up 98% of the trailer are less than 10% of what they'll actually be getting in the show. Like I said, though, while all this does irk me as someone who really loves and respects editing, this is in no way a judgment of the show itself. This is just the trailer after all, and this is only a review of said trailer. I don't know if we'll be getting any more trailers or clips before the show's actually out, but if we do, I'll be sure to cover those too. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you guys later.